Okay, our final lesson is going to be how to say the Arabic greeting and the response to that. So that would be Assalamu alaikum, which means peace be with you. And the response to that would be Wa alaikum al sam, which means and also with you. So let's start with the first is Assalamu alaikum. So in English, you represent that as As Salamu, and the second is Aleikum. Now I put these two dots here because if you remember when you do the transliteration, these two dots represent the Ain, which is this character here. So that's actually our first letter. That's just how it's been chosen to be represented by English characters. But well, we've done one letter already, but let's start back at the beginning. Now here, this is an article at the beginning, and this usually is actually AL, but for some letters, when it comes before certain letters, it takes on the same letter. So instead of an al, it's an s because it's before an s. However, when you write it, it's still an al. Only in the pronunciation do you say assalamu alaikum. So if you start here, we have the al. This is really tricky, but remember it's al. So you're going to do the alif and the lam. For the S, you're going to have the sin. Now here, this is just one L, so it's not, or sorry, one A, so you're not going to represent it by another aleph. Here we have a special character. The la sound is represented by a lam aleph, which in its isolated form kind of looks something like this. The M, of course, would be our friend the meme, and then the oo sound doesn't get represented because it's a vowel. So if we combine these all together, we're going to have, and remember, you have to reverse them. We're going to start with al. Remember, there's nothing after the aleph. Al, and then the sa. Now we have our lam aleph. Now this lam aleph, it is represented like this in the isolated, but when it's at the end of a word, it looks like this. Come down, over, and then kind of come up. So here I was just finishing up my sa, my sin. I'm going to come up for my lam aleph, and then I'm going to finish up with my M. And because it's isolated in this case, it doesn't have to get all loopy. So this is assalamu. Now the second part of that phrase is the alaikum. So we had our ayn already. We also have our lam. Here we have a e sound, so it's going to be a ya, a kef, a kof. Here it looks like this in its isolated form, but when we're going to write it in the word, it's actually going to have sort of a K shape. So if you actually are a person who is familiar with the English style of writing, this actually kind of looks like a K. I always think of it like that. I'm not sure if that's the best representation, but. And then finally, you'll end with the meme. So we start over here again, because we're going to reverse everything. Now, this ein, too, when this is in the front of a word, it actually is a completely different shape. So if you'll consult your chart or just look here, you can see it's kind of a hook like that, and then it goes down into finishing the word. So I'm going to start with that hook. Make sure you can still see. Okay, good. I, la, e, get that Y. We wouldn't dot it until the end, but I'm just doing it to show you. And now here's that funny K. And then finally we finish with a connection, and this is the meme at the end. Assalamu alaikum. Now, very simply to respond to that, you're just saying wa, and wa is actually a letter, so you don't have to do anything. Just put down the letter, and that means and. So you're saying and also with you. To say also with you, you actually just reverse these two. So wa alaikum assalam. The only difference is there's no you, but it doesn't make a difference in the writing. So wa alaikum assalam. So we could write that out down here. Wa. And now we're going to do our alaikum. Here's our Y, our K, and our M. Let's dot our Y. And then assalam. Al, sal, here's our lam aleph, and finally RM. Wa alaikum assalam. And that's how you do a basic reading.